Shane, you know, the special effects in the movie reminded me very much of The Wild Bunch. It's very violent. Are you going to let us into the secret of how some of these special effects were created, or is that a trade secret?
Well, it's not really a trade secret. I mean, Sam Peckinpah is a massive inspiration of mine. I've always loved the film The Wild Bunch, Cross of Iron, Straw Dogs, films like that, so that was a big inspiration. And when I wrote the script, there was a kind of, you know, that whole, you know, I wanted an ending that was almost reminiscent of The Wild Bunch. I mean, it's not in the same class as what Peckinpah can do or what he could do, but that's the kind of feel that I wanted for the ending. I wanted that feel, that camaraderie of the characters at the end. You know, the fact that the budget we had was extremely low, practically non-existent, so to come up with the ending that I did. And as far as the special effects are concerned... How long have
you been married to Sean, is it?
Jane.
Jane. Oh, I got that wrong.
17 years.
Oh, I got the wrong
17 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you think of his work? Do you get involved in the film?
I do. I drive him, I help him, I'm in it. I was in that quite a lot, but my arms, my legs, my back. You know, in that flashback? That one as well, yeah. Long.
It's a pretty violent film. What do you think about the whole thing? What do you think of his editing and the finished product?
I think it's really good. The editing's really good. He works really hard to get it done. The violence doesn't bother me. It's just pretend. It's really quite squeamish, actually. He can't stand real blood or anything like that, which is interesting, but it's the way he is.
The special effects were amazing. Are you going to let us in for the secret, or is that a trade secret?
You'll have to ask Shane about that, because we've done it together and that's his thing.
Hello, my name's David Frost, and the character I played in the film was Leonard Starling. Now, Leonard is a twisted government agent stroke scientist who tries to subjugate the world by spraying gas all over the population. Not only is he a twisted person who thinks that half the world's population should be disposed of, but he's also a sadist, a sexual deviant, and a thoroughly nasty person. I must admit I revelled in the role, enjoyed it very much. I took on the role because I wanted to take myself out of my comfort zone, being a genuinely nice fella that I normally am, and this challenged me, and I had to do things that were actually quite revolting. The scene with Kathy in particular, with the horrible head in the bed, which was riddled with maggots and worms. When I walked into the room to carry out that scene, I was heaving, and I said, I need a bucket because I'm going to be sick. It wasn't until he said action that I really got into the role, and I didn't heave any more after that, thankfully. But it was a pretty revolting scene, and that showed a side of Leonard that was part of his character, you know, a very, very deviant person. I have to take my hat off to Shane Mather, who not only wrote the film, directed
Andy, that was a really violent movie, but it was well edited, I should say.
Very.
And the finished product was very controversial indeed. How was the finished movie compared to when you were actually filming it? Were you surprised on today's premiere?
Very much surprised. Surpassed what I was thinking it was going to end up like. It was fun when I was making it, and you see it all in little bits, you're doing your little scenes, but it all put together, and with Shane, the producer, the editor, the director, special effects, but his baby's editor, but when he puts it all together, it's fantastic, and everyone's been commenting about it. Really surprised, and everyone's been commenting about it.
Loads of flashes.
Okay, guys, we've got the three major stars of the movie here. Okay, can you tell us what was it like working together? And David, of course, here he comes.
These were alright. David was a nice.
He kept getting his cock out.
Yeah.
That was a pretty scary character that David played there. How much was that in his real character, or isn't he really like
100%,
that?
100%.
Maggots are his life.
But it wasn't his real cock.
I thought he grew into the character, to be honest.
Are you somewhat relieved that it's come to a conclusion and you're standing here now at the premiere?
No, I'm not.
No, I enjoyed it.
We look forward to the next one.
Or
Prequel or working together again with Shane.
Yes.
That's such fun.
What do you think of Shane as a producer?
Fantastic.
And director.
And director, sorry.
And that was with our tutoring.
No, he is good.
Is he a bit of a slave driver?
No, not at all.
He
He's
let us do our own thing as well.
completely professional.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah.
100%.
Producer, director, editor, special effects.
I actually thought the movie was absolutely fantastic. My character in it was basically based on trying to get some info out on the from the government section. And, basically, in the film itself, as you can see, I was hanging about on a tree and. When we were doing the takes, that was literally my arms were going to drop off. You know, the whole film, fantastic, brilliant.
Real good film.
Real good film. Real good film.
So I was playing a hitman after you and I, so
yeah, he was a hitman after me, and
yeah, good bit of fun doing it through the forest.
Hello, I'm Sid and I play Sean in Terror Nation.
Hi, Sean. It's a very violent film. What was the most difficult thing for you to do in the movie?
Well, after a couple of weeks of shooting, while we were actually filming, I fell over, did a roly-poly, and disconnected my clavicle from my shoulder. So I'd actually dislocated my shoulder. So after that, a lot of running, a lot of the physical stuff was a bit more demanding because of obviously I was still in pain. There's a few scenes where we're on the boat that day, and a lot of the running and jumping over the fences. I'm actually still in pain. If you watch the film, you'll see I've got my hand in my pocket a lot of the time because of the fact that I've dislocated my shoulder. So I would say that was the most difficult side of it for me.
Shane, the music score, I was pretty impressed with the music. How did you go about marrying the music? Some of it was very melodious with such a violent theme.
Well, as in my previous film, I really enjoy the contrast of, you know, in my last film, Fantasy, I use a lot of 50s and 60s music, which seems a strange kind of clash with graphic scenes of graphic violence. But I've done the same thing in Terror Nation. But the difference with this film is that you know, it's more. I wanted sadness to the sound. In certain, you know, death scenes in the film, and I wanted a kind of underlined sadness to the death scenes. And what I've basically done is I created the music myself. Not all of it. A lot of it was stuff that was royalty free, but the kind of melodic sounds that I wanted, I actually created myself on the computers and laid them over. And it's that contrast that I believe gives the scenes a kind of a certain feel, you know, an unusual feel, because normally there's certain things like when one of the characters at the end goes wild with a machine gun, you'd expect a kind of upbeat, crazy kind of heavy metal soundtrack, but actually it's a very sad melodic sound playing in the background, and I really love the contrast.